bet a lot of you are asking, how exactly strong is Shang-Chi? We know he's one of the greatest martial artists in the world, and we also know that he's teaming up with the Avengers eventually. But how does he stack up compared to Captain America or Spider-Man? Well, if I told you that he was able to beat Wolverine in a fight, would that be enough? Because that's what happens in the comics. And I'm not talking about the recent fight, which featured the other masters of the 5 weapons, Brother Saber and Sister Dagger, because that was 3-on-1, so it didn't really count. And I say that because Wolverine was nearly kicked off a mountain and splattered in the valley below. But there's an even more definitive fight between Wolverine and Shang-Chi from the comics, and that's what we're going to talk about today. A long time ago, Shang-Chi had retired from his kung fu days. Alone in a temple in Madripoor, he spent his days contemplating the Japanese philosophy of Zen, using little riddles or questions called koan. While sitting with his legs crossed in a rock garden, meditating on an issue, Wolverine stumbled in. "You Shang-Chi? They tell me you're a great master," the mutant asked. This was the first time they ever met, even though they would team up plenty in later years. Shang-Chi didn't really offer Wolverine a reply. He just let Logan continue talking, and that's what the mutant did. Wolverine was there seeking Shang-Chi's help. Sabretooth had kidnapped Kitty Pryde, and he was holding her hostage. Wolverine explained that he could never really defeat Sabretooth, so he needed Shang-Chi's help to get the job done. Wolverine was willing to pay Shang-Chi thousands of dollars if the Kung Fu Master would just teach Logan the wushu techniques that had made Shang-Chi so powerful. But Shang-Chi refused. He was retired, more or less. He told Wolverine that he'd be able to teach him the ways of Zen philosophy, but that was it. So the Kung Fu Master held up an apple and asked Wolverine what it was. If Wolverine replied with apple, Shang-Chi threatened to hit him 30 times. If he replied by saying it was not an apple too, Shang-Chi would hit him 30 times. Even though Wolverine is often portrayed as a dummy, he's actually one of the sharpest minds of the X-Men. And since he spent so many years in Japan, you'd think that these simple koan or riddles would have been a walk in the park. But he failed. Wolverine said it was an apple, which was a mistake. Shang-Chi grabbed the staff, launched himself into the air, and brought the weapon down on Wolverine. With only a moment to move, Wolvie was barely able to avoid the blow by sidestepping. He unsheathed his claws and with a single motion sliced Shang-Chi's staff right down the middle, but that didn't stop the Kung Fu Master. He took each half of the stick and hit Wolverine across his face, 1, 2, and the mutant was knocked to the ground. While flat on his back, Shang-Chi tried to explain to Wolverine why he lost. He said that Wolverine wasn't using his diamond sword well. Now, a diamond sword is a figurative thing. It's something that you use to cut away the weights on your mind. It means that Wolverine's mind was so burdened by worries, assumptions, and logic that he wasn't able to react to Shang-Chi's attacks out of pure instinct. It's kind of like do or do not, there is no try type of thing, if we use a Yoda quote. For Wolverine, he needed to use his diamond sword, so to speak, so to stop worrying about whether or not he was too much of an animal. He had to stop caring about whether or not he went into berserker mode or not. Just to stop trying to fit into whatever mold he thought he had to fit into. He just needed to be. When Shang-Chi held up an apple again and asked what it was, Wolverine thought quickly. If he responded with apple, Shang-Chi would beat him up again. So Logan thought if he didn't respond at all, then that would be a Zen-like answer. But he was wrong. Shang-Chi launched 6 crossbow bolts at Logan, and in a blur, Wolverine cut them in half mid-flight. Then Shang-Chi dug into the ground beneath his feet and pulled up 2 long sabers. The two dueled, Wolverine's claws sparking as they clashed against Shang-Chi's swords. The fight eventually broke them onto the roof, and while Wolverine was busy deflecting Shang-Chi's blows, the Kung Fu Master did what was instinctual. They were on a roof, after all, so he cut down part of a railing, causing Logan to fall towards the ground below. But with a single hand, he caught Wolverine by the heel, which, by the way, is pretty impressive. Wolverine is over 300 pounds, and due to his adamantium skeleton, that is. Shang-Chi's ability to carry him with one hand on a roof where he didn't have great footing is definitely a feat of super strength. I'll be sure to cover just how strong Shang-Chi is in a future video, but for now, let's just get back to the story. Shang-Chi commented that in the heat of the battle, Wolverine had no time to think, that he was just reacting purely on instinct, and he went further. He basically said that whenever Wolverine fights Sabretooth, the supervillain doesn't even need to try to beat Wolverine, because Wolverine is already defeated by his clouded thoughts. Back on the ground, Shang-Chi once again tried to test Wolverine by asking what the apple was, but by that point, Logan had enough. He gave up. He wrote Shang-Chi off as a crazy loon and decided he would just have to save Kitty Pryde by himself, with the old same skills that he'd always had. Wolverine would actually go on to defeat Sabretooth by actually using the Zen skills taught to him by Shang-Chi, and when he later was asked the same riddle about the apple, Wolverine responded like a true Zen master, by just picking it up and eating it. But when we're talking about just how powerful Shang-Chi is, I think we can look at this battle for some clear stats. First, he held Wolverine by his heel. Again, we're not just talking about strength, we're also talking about how good of a fighter Shang-Chi is, but still, his strength feats are much more impressive than Hawkeye or Black Widow, so I think that counts for something. He also bested Wolverine in both rounds of their fight. Of course, Wolverine wasn't trying to kill Shang-Chi. If he were, the outcome might have been different. But then again, Shang-Chi wasn't trying to kill Logan either. Since Shang-Chi was able to beat Wolverine when we rank the martial arts master compared to other Avengers, I think we can definitely put him at or above Wolverine's level. Thanks for watching this video. Let me know what you thought. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, remember, with great power comes great responsibility.